Yes, hello everybody. It is a Thursday night. Me and the best one from the Wildcard Dynasty are here. But first, let's play the music.
I just wanna rewind to when we were young at heart. Back to all those good times. Take me back to the start.
Oh, it is a Thursday night. I know, Ali, that sounds weird, but we are recording on a Wednesday. But it is going out Thursday. See, I'm a smart guy, and it is me and the best one from the Wildcard Dynasty. I have teased it. I will bring him straight in. Let's hope his internet holds up. But Ali, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, it's doing its normal thing, but we'll live with it for now. Yeah, I'm doing really good. Hopefully, you can hear me still. And mate, I'm so excited that you brought me on for this epic show as we are on the eve of the NFL season. So excited. The best two from the whole Wildcard family are on the show. So what more can anybody want? How are you doing, Paul?
I'm doing really well, mate. I'm doing really well. This is actually a show that we have delayed so many times, and we wanted to do as the three of us, but actually with school holidays and kids being off school and everything like this and jobs and everything, it just turns out that we haven't been able to do this show at any point. So this show, we've waited. We've put it off to do as a trio, but we haven't managed to do it. The plan was to do it tonight. And Ali, I seen you post the other day. You're my guys for 2024. So I thought there's no better person to bring on with me to help me do this show than you. And all we're going to do is we're going to chat about who we're putting our faith in this year in fantasy. I've got everyone's. I've got Lewis's. I've got Hannah's. I've got mine. I've got your. Well, I haven't got yours. You haven't told me yours yet. But I've got everyone's, and we're going to see a lot of players from all across the board. We've got some early picks. We've got some late picks. We've got a bit of everything. And these are the guys that we have constantly been hitting that draft button on. People that we've put our faith into. But before we get into that, I want to talk a bit of news, bit of gossip, bit what's going on. So today, one of the big things I've seen today is that Russell Wilson has been told that he is starting week 1. Ali, how are you feeling about that? Do you think that Russell Wilson can keep this job all season, or do you think it's a matter of time before Justin Fields gets in and takes over?
Well, I think that when you have a look at the starting bar or the bar that was set from last season by the awful Kenny Pickett, I mean, the bar's not very high, is it? So I think Russell Wilson, even at this stage of his career, on his third team now, I think he's still going to be an upgrade on Kenny Pickett. So, I mean, I think he's only got to be okay. I think that's all they're going to ask of him. They're not going to give him too many crazy concepts. He's not going to be scrambling around. He's just going to try and find his receivers, his tight ends, his running backs, and they're going to win the games on defense. It's going to be, I can't see this being an explosive offense. So I think it all comes down to whether they're losing games. If they lose perhaps 3 on the bounce and the head coach is in danger of losing his record of having a winning season every single year, then perhaps they'll make a change. But I think first half of the season, he's really safe. I think they'll play it safe. And like I said, it's just such an upgrade on Kenny Pickett, whether he goes with either of these guys. So I don't think they'll be too hasty. I think the leash will be fairly long, but I would not be surprised to see Justin Fields perhaps down the stretch if the Steelers are maybe couple of games behind 500, perhaps they'll throw in Fields to ignite that sort of playoff charge. So, yeah, I think it's no surprise that Russell Wilson's the starter. But hopefully we'll see some Fields, because I think at this stage of their career, Justin Fields, especially for fantasy, is going to be so much more exciting, entertaining to watch than Russell Wilson. How do you feel about it? Because you wanted Justin Fields to be the starter, and it's not quite worked out that way at the minute.
Yeah, to be honest, mate, I think people are still hoping for Russ to cook. Everyone wants Russ to cook, and they Denver were like, oh yeah, if we can get Russell Wilson, that was the Russell Wilson that was at Seattle and everything like that, he would be amazing, And I think people are still hoping that he's going to be that, and I think maybe they're hoping he's going to come in and be the Russell Wilson that we saw from like 4 or 5 years ago, probably not that much, and I think they're hoping for that, and I don't think they're going to get that. Well, I think you will see Justin Fields. I kind of think he's going to be maybe these trick play kind of things, like when the Saints bring Taysom Hill on, and it's like, is he going to throw it? Is he going to run it in? And I think you might see Justin Fields having that kind of role the first few games where you'll see Russell Wilson start, but they'll get down and it'll be like, 3rd and goal from the 5 or something. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, they're pulling Russell Wilson, and Justin Fields comes running on and he scrambles one in, or he throws one in, and they're like, oh my God. And then everyone's going to go nuts because they're going to go, who are they going to use? They don't know. And I'm inclined to agree with you. I do think Russell Wilson for the first half of the season, I think that's his job now. But I do think Fields does get that opportunity. And I think they've got more of a future. If they could make Fields a good quarterback, I think they've got a future franchise quarterback there, because he's still young. He's still what they can be and what they can use and what they can build out of him. So I think they do see what they've got in him, but it's a bit of a shame to see Russell Wilson. The other one that I wanted to bring up, and because I think the UK community have just gone absolutely mad with this, is are you shocked that Louis Rees-Zammit didn't make the 53-man roster? Or are you like every other UK NFL thing, like Talk Sport, that think it's the biggest disappointment ever?
Yeah, I think it's quite funny, really. I think looking at his snaps in preseason, that the NFL UK Twitter page went mental about. I think he looked okay, but I mean, it was probably against third stringers, and it's really no surprise to me that they've cut him. They've brought in Samaje Perine, which I think is a really, really clever move. I think he's going to be the new Jerick McKinnon, and he could possibly be a bit annoying, a bit pesky for Isaiah Pacheco owners this year. I think he'll catch a few touchdowns because he's a really good receiving back. So yeah, I mean, it's just funny because of all the jerseys that were sold in the UK, thinking that this guy's going to be a superstar. But I've not seen yet whether they've brought him back on the practice squad, and perhaps we'll see him maybe for a couple of sets. Perhaps he'll be called up for a game or two, and the NFL community will ignite again. But I just find it funny because I never really thought it was going to happen. But we just go over the top, don't we, to cheer on for someone, because it's been a while, to be honest. We had like Jay Ajayi for a while was doing well, but other than that, there's not much to
I remember Christian Wade. Christian Wade, he went to the Bills, and then, but I think this one was a little bit different. I think there was a lot more hype around it, wasn't there? And they were interviewing Pat Mahomes about him and Travis Kelce and stuff like this. And you were like, oh, maybe this is a little bit different. I'm not going to lie, I am a proud Welshman. He is Welsh. Yeah. There was part of me that was like, you know what? I really hope you are the guy that steps over. But in my head, it was like, yeah, the reality is I don't think you're going to make it. But it has entertained me the last couple of days seeing NFL UK and Talk Sport and everything. That honestly, they think it's like they think that somebody's just turned down Messi or something. The way that they're talking, it's like, oh no, they don't want Messi to play football for them. The kid decided 6 months ago that I'm going to go and play NFL, and people are shocked that he didn't make the Super Bowl. One of the best teams for the last 6-7 years, and they didn't make it onto that 53-man roster. When there's players that have been playing this game all their life that didn't get drafted, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's not just going to walk in." So, but it's just entertained me a lot the last couple of days. But is there any other news that you want to chat about? Is there anything that you could think of?
Not really. I think that there's been a few surprise cuts. There's been there's been some not surprising cuts as well. I think there's been not many really major ones. There's not really been any.
Three of my favourite ones were Michael Carter, Terrace Marshall, and Aaron Robinson. Is that not what the Wildcard Dynasty told us to go and get a couple of years ago? Like, them three players have all been cut by their teams, you know?
Yeah, that was brilliant. I think it was all in one day, wasn't it? Terrace
All in
Marshall,
one day, and I think all in the
Alan
space of a couple of hours.
I did famously say there's no way Alan Robinson doesn't finish as a wide receiver 1. And then that was from that point that he absolutely tanked, and we've not seen him since. So
Get on the Terrace Marshall as well. I think that's one of my highlights, you know. I'm surprised Kev's not been brought up on the fantasy receipts for that one, you know. But there you go.
Yeah.
But should we get into my guys? Let's stop talking about the people that you missed on, and let's start talking about the people you're going to hit on, shall we?
Yeah.
Right. So, as the guest, I'm going to let you go first, and we're going to start at the quarterback position. So, Ali, please tell everyone who is the quarterback that you've been drafting everywhere this year.
Well, if I was to be honest, then perhaps the answer would be different, but I could not face coming on this show and bigging up Kyler Murray so much. So I had to pick somebody else, and I've gone
all in good time, Ali. All in good time, my friends.
I've gone with the quarterback 7 from last season, and this is a guy that I absolutely love. It's Jared Goff, the Detroit Lions. That I have a sneaky feeling that they are going to make another big run to the Super Bowl. Perhaps they're going to get there this year. Absolutely love what the Lions have done the last couple of years in building that really, really explosive offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown is an absolute stud. Sam Laporta, he's a stud as well. He had, the record rookie tight end, smash loads of stats. And I just think Jared Goff, this is what I found this on Fantasy Pros. Quarterback 15 is his ADP. I don't know if that's the same as what you found, but yeah. I just think it's egregious because he's playing 14 out of 17 games in a dome this year. We know how good Jared Goff is at home. It's a well-known fact. You play him in DFS and that when he has a home game, he absolutely balls out in that dome. He's got 40, so there's only 3 games where he's playing outside this year. I just think that division is going to be more competitive this year, which is good. There's going to be more shootouts. I think this Lions offense is going to be extremely, extremely explosive with the 2 running backs smashing it again, Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery. So absolutely love this offense. I'm buying into all the pieces. Perhaps not Sam Laporta just because I think the draft price is too high, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, I've been grabbing him in round 1 a lot of places, and then grabbing Jared Goff. When everybody scooped their quarterback 1 up, I've been picking up Jared Goff for that stack that I think is going to be absolutely explosive and win fantasy championships this year. So absolutely love Jared Goff at quarterback 15.
He feels like a steal, doesn't he? He finished, like you said, last year as quarterback 7. Now, obviously, I haven't got the statistics on how many were injured or missed games, quarterbacks and stuff like this. But quarterback 15 ADP, finished as a quarterback 7 last year, still got the same wide receiver, still got the same tight end, still got the same running backs, everything like he's still got all the guys around him that helped him be quarterback 7 on the season, and yet somehow we're like, I'm trying to look at the people before, but we've got somebody like Tua's going before him, Jaden Daniels. I know Jaden Daniels got the rushing upside, but Caleb Williams. These guys are unproven in the NFL, and yet somehow you want to take them over Jared Goff. You got Brock Purdy's a great quarterback, but again, they're all sort of people that I would be leaning to take Goff over. So I do really like this pick, and actually I completely agree with you. I have got quite a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown this year because I found that a lot of drafts I've done, I've been mid to late in draft position, so I have ended up with quite a bit of Amon-Ra St. Brown. I've got very, 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 very little Sam Laporta because I just don't like the cost. I think we hope he's going to be Travis Kelce of a couple of years ago, and he's not going to be. He's going to be good, and he is going to be somebody that can push tight end one. I just don't think he holds that value of around 2 picks sort of thing, you know. But yeah, I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you that this is definitely somebody that I would like to target. But we will get on to. I've just got off it. We'll get on to. Shall I read mine out, and then we'll go with Hannah and Lewis's, and we'll just see who we want to talk about. So mine is a massive homer pick. Okay. And
surprise.
yeah, I know everyone's going to take the piss and whatever, but I don't care because
I get it.
I've literally targeted him in every draft I've been in, you know, and that is the giant that is Kyler Murray. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's going as QB 10. And I suppose that's probably a fair value. If anything, it's a bit on the lower end because I think this guy, he has the potential to be a top 5 QB this year. Now, if I can get somebody who's got that potential to be, I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to finish as the QB1. He has the ability to do it if he rushes a lot, but I think they're quite cautious with him rushing now. They don't, you know, I remember Kyler Murray putting 900 yards rushing up in one season, you know, and that was insane. He's not done that since. I think he puts up probably about 500 yards rushing, something like that. And he has the ability to finish as a top 5 QB. And I can get that as the 10th QB overall. That to me is an absolute smash. Everywhere I've been this year, every draft I've been in, if I can get him sort of towards the end of round 2, then bam. If I can get him in round 3, and these are super flex drafts, obviously. I'm not one QB league. He's nowhere near the first sort of 6 rounds to me. But in a super flex draft, if I can get him, you know, mid to late round 2 or the beginning of round 3, I am buzzing with that pick. So Ali, roast me. Go on.
I can't roast you because I've been doing exactly the same. I didn't want to big him up because I know how much you love Kyler Murray. I knew he was going to be your pick anyway. So I wasn't going to go with him. But the 3 targets that I've had really this year has been Kyler Murray, just because he's like I say, quarterback 10. I've seen him go a couple of spots later than that as well. I think he's absolutely poised to have a top 6-7 quarterback season. So there's value there with the upside that he could be the quarterback 1, 2, 3. There's him, Jaden Daniels. His ADP has been rising, so I've been passing on him lately, but I still really like Jaden Daniels for this year. I think he's a discount Anthony Richardson, and then Jared Goff. So yeah, I think you've smashed it. Didn't want to pick up your pick too much, but I can't roast you for it.
See, I love it when that happens. But yeah, so Lewis and Hannah have both give theirs. Lewis, they're both gone for players on different ends of the spectrum, to be honest. Lewis has gone for Joe Burrow as QB7. To be honest, I wish he was here, to be honest, to explain that one, because I'm not a big fan of that value, to be honest. I think there's people I'd rather wait on, but I get it. Joe Burrow is an absolutely unreal QB, and if him and Jamar Chase have anything that connection back and they've got the time to throw the ball, you're talking points. You know, they're both incredible. And Hannah's gone for Geno Smith, who I absolutely love the value of Geno Smith. He's currently going as QB 24 on ADP. And that's the Fantasy Pros ADP, QB 24. And I just think that's just screaming value, to be honest. If you can get a player like that at QB 24, the players that are going around him, we're talking sort of Bo Nix is just before him, and then Will Levis and Justin Fields are the 2 after him. And believe it or not, Russell Wilson is 27. So to be honest, I don't, do you want, if you want Russell Wilson, you're taking Justin Fields as well. Will Levis, I'm Geno Smith over Will Levis, and Bo Nix, I'm Geno Smith over Bo Nix as well, to be honest. Yep. So I think that's screaming value. What do you think of both of these picks?
Yeah, I think the favourite pick is Geno Smith, just because of that value I think is insane. I think they're poised to take a step forward on their offense this year. I think the metrics said that they were trying to be good but it didn't quite work out last year. They've obviously got that trio of wide receivers there again. People think JSN is going to have a breakout this year. DK Metcalf could come good. So I'm all about the Seahawks this year with the value that they're going at. And the Burrow one for me, I think I'm with you, Paul, in that I'm tending to skip past him. I was all in on Jamar Chase. I've taken him in a lot of positions, sort of in the middle of the first round, but it just makes me a little bit nervous with the contract situation. The fact that he's still not practicing. He turned up today 30 minutes late to practice in just shorts and t-shirt, just strolling about. It doesn't look like there's a deal coming anytime soon, so that does make me really nervous. But I guess they're going to figure it out. But just a little bit nervous. So I'd rather pass on Burrow and pick Kyler Murray sort of half a round later or a round later.
Smart guy, passing on the Bengal and taking the Cardinal. You know what I mean? But yeah, I completely agree with you, mate. But let's move on to running backs. Ali, why don't you give us your running back?
So this is someone that I've been actively taking everywhere, but the news about Nick Chubb being put on IR, so missing the first 4 games of the season, just makes this even sweeter. Jerome Ford, running back 39, is someone that I absolutely love. The fact that Jonta Foreman was cut, bless him, he had that terrible injury. So it just looks like Jerome Ford is going to be the bell cow work guy for at least the first 4 games of the season, perhaps longer. Nick Chubb, I cannot see him being 80%, 90% Nick Chubb until the second half of the season. So really, in my opinion, I think you're getting Jerome Ford for at least half a season at a really, really good discount, running back 39, that you can actually start, that you're taking him so late in drafts. And I just think, the Browns absolutely, love their running game, that it's their sort of first option is to try and run the ball and play defense. So I just think it's an absolute smashing value, running back 39, and someone that I've been taking everywhere. He's in a lot of my starting lineups for this year already.
Yeah, so I love this pick, and I was going to mention Tom Strachan, NFL T-Strack. He was talking about how he's paired him with Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah.
Jonathan Brooks has now gone on to putt.
Good strategy.
So he's missing at least the first 4 games, and I think it's very similar to Nick Chubb. I'm not saying the injuries are, but he's not going to be there for the first 4 games. Then maybe 2 games to get up to that 100% speed that he needs to be at to be that running back. And that's sort of when you go, right, Jerome Ford has done his bit for me. Now I can put in Jonathan Brooks. I absolutely love that strategy, to be honest. And it's one that I have done in a few places. But to me, the thing I really love about Jerome Ford is you're not drafting for players that are going to help you from week 6 to 12. Mm-hmm. Because if you go 0-6, you're going to have, you need to do well then from 6 to 12 to be pushing a playoff. But if you can win your first 6 games, so if you can put somebody like Jerome Ford in your team and he helps you to, I don't know, a 6-0 start, all of a sudden then you're sitting back going, this is amazing. I've just got the first 6 wins. I'm on my way to the playoffs. I've got, Jerome Ford has helped me do that. He was a late round pick, so it's not, because we all do this thing where we have to play our first 10 picks are our starters, and we have to play them. We don't. If Jerome Ford's performance, you can put him in your team, and he is going to be the starting running back in a team that like to run the ball, like you said. So I love that pick. I absolutely love that pick. And I probably don't have enough of Jerome Ford as what I should, to be honest, because I suppose there was that worry of Nick Chubb. But I think, like you said, with that news coming out, that is it IR or is it PUP he's got on to? I don't know.
PUP. Yeah, PUP. Yeah,
you're sort of talking like, it's 4 to 6 weeks before he's even starting to make his way back and stuff like that, So I absolutely love that pick. Love that pick. But it's not as good as my pick. Okay. So
James
my
Conn.
pick, my running back this year that I have so much of, it's untrue. To be honest, I really need to go on to find out how many times I've actually taken him this year. But the running back that I've targeted more than anyone is Alvin Kamara. And I
Okay.
have so much Alvin Kamara. It's probably one of them that if Alvin Kamara goes down injured, I can write off half of my leagues. Like, you know what I mean? Because he's currently going as running back 19. Right? Kendra Miller has just gone on to season-ending IR. There's no other running back there that's even going to remotely take anything away from him. He's at the team that we know what he can do there. He always performs. And I can get him at running back 19. So I can start a draft, and this is super flex, by the way, with a couple of QBs, some nice wide receivers, and I can get my Alvin Kamara as my RB1, who is a starting running back that's going to play so many snaps and so many times, and he likes to receive the ball as well. He's just, it's just screaming value. Absolutely screaming value. But I probably put too much on him now. Like I said, 50% of my leagues are done this year if Alvin Kamara goes down injured. So, but what do you make of Alvin Kamara this year?
Yeah, I think I have to agree. It's a screaming value at running back 19. I've seen people reach on him earlier than that, and I think that's just because we know what we're going to get from Alvin Kamara, especially in PPR leagues. You're going to get a ton of dump offs from Derek Carr. I think this offense is not going to be great. I think they're going to rely on the defense again. So I do worry about all the weapons there. And you've got Taysom Hill that's going to be lining up. I think he's going to be the RB2 of this team. He's going to be lining up everywhere, and perhaps he'll take some touchdowns away from Kamara. But I just think the volume's going to be there. So at RB19, I absolutely love it.
Do you think that Taysom Hill will, by the end of this season, be designated as QB, tight end, running back, wide receiver, and you can literally put him in any spot? I really hope they did that with him. You know, that'd be really funny. Right, so the other two, so Hannah and Lewis, have their running back. So Lewis has gone for running back 26 so far, and that is Tony Pollard, which I really like this pick, to be fair, as long as Tony Pollard can be the Tony Pollard that we've seen at the Cowboys. I don't think he's somebody that will take a full role. I think if he's sharing that ball with Tajay Spears, I think he'll make the most of it, like he did when he was the running back 2. He seemed to perform better when he was splitting the role than when he was given the 100% sort of workload. And Hannah's targeting this year running back 2 overall at ADP, and that's Breece Hall.
We're going deep.
So it's hard to disagree with Hannah here. I think she's nailed this because yes, that Breece Hall is somebody that we're all targeting. But I love Breece Hall. I think he's somebody that could easily finish as the RB2 or even RB1, as Lewis has predicted that he does finish as the RB1. And I think he's somebody that can dethrone CMC, and you can get him as the RB2. You can sort of get him towards the back end of the first round or even the start of the second, where people are going quite early with CMC, aren't they? They're sort of going mid first round, and so I do get the pick as a my guy target. To be fair, what do you make of these two?
Yeah, I guess it depends on where Hannah's prepared to take him, whether she's really ballsy and takes him early on, where people are usually taking wide receivers. Perhaps she's willing to take Breece Hall as the RB1, over someone like an Amon-Ra St. Brown, someone like that. So yeah, I totally get that. And I think he was my first pick in the Scott Fish Bowl this year. I was pick 11, went for Breece Hall as a difference maker. And I think, as long as he stays healthy, obviously it's difficult to rely on running backs. Then I think he's going to have an absolutely amazing season. He's going to catch so many passes. and he looked so good towards the second half of last season. So I just think it's all set up for Breece Hall to absolutely dominate this year. I think they've not really fixed their wide receiver 2 position. I think it's going to be a whole lot of Garrett Wilson and a whole lot of Breece Hall. So yeah, as long as Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy and keep this offense at least average in the NFL, then I think Breece Hall, yeah, he's got the ability to be at least the RB2 over Bijan Robinson and perhaps over Christian McCaffrey. Who knows?
I love it. And what do you think of Tony Pollard?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest Tony Pollard fan. I'll say it right now. I'd probably rather take Tajay Spears, but I have to say, you have to respect what he's looked like in the preseason. He looks explosive again, Tony Pollard, which he didn't last year. I can see a pretty even split between these two guys, just because Tajay already knows the offense and he's looked really good in it before. So I think really they're going to complement each other and help each other. I think you're not going to be dissatisfied at that ADP. I think there's probably value there. So it's a smart pick, especially when you're drafting. As you mentioned, you can take wide receivers early and take guys like Tony Pollard who have got that upside because they've finished that high before. So yeah, I do like it.
Yeah, I think it is a value pick, really, isn't it? That running back 26. I think it's a good way to sort of say if he hits and if he does get that role as he's the sort of lead back. I think it's as running back 26. It's quite a valued pick. But let's move on to wide receivers. Who is your wide receiver?
Mike Evans. No, it's not really.
Oh,
I've totally. I've not gone for any homer picks tonight, so I've gone for the wide receiver 49 in ADP, and this is a rookie that's coming in that was a preseason winner for me. It's Brian Thomas Jr. for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I was just looking at that ADP earlier and thinking, wide receiver 49? Why is that so low? I think he's got the ability to break out from this year. And I thought, well, first round wide receiver drafted. Let's go. Is a pretty similar pick to someone that we were all hype about last year, Jackson Smith-Njigba. He had a disastrous season, really, let's face it. And he finishes the wide receiver 48. And we're picking Brian Thomas Jr., who's come in and absolutely dominated in training camp and the preseason matches. And he's being drafted as the wide receiver 49. I can't quite get my head around it. I think he has the ability to be the wide receiver 1 from this year. I think I still really like Christian Kirk, but I think Brian Thomas Jr. by the second half of the season can really be the dominant wide receiver 1 there. He scored 17 touchdowns in his last year at LSU. He's just incredible. He's obviously not got the most diverse route tree. I think he just likes the deep, just get long, get past the defender, catch touchdown. But that's exactly what Trevor Lawrence wants to do. So I just think this is a match made in heaven. And at wide receiver 49, you're taking him as your wide receiver 4, 5 if you're taking wide receiver early. I just think that's absolutely screaming value. And I think my prediction is this guy's going to be at least half his ADP come next year. So he's going to be taken in the top 20. I really think he's going to have a good year. So, Brian Thomas Jr. is my pick.
I love that pick. I really, really like that pick because I do think he has a clear pathway to sort of take that whole wide receiver room and own it. And do you know what? I'm on the Fantasy Pros ADP and I'm looking at people that are going around him. So Jackson Smith-Njigba was going 3 spots ahead of him, who finished as the wide receiver. What do you say? 48 last
48.
year?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's going ahead of him. Then you've got Jordan Addison, who's going ahead of him, who I believe has a DUI and potentially missing games. You've got
Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and Sam Darnold, yeah, obviously. You got Marquise Hollywood Brown going as the wide receiver 43, who has a back injury that I believe is going to miss the first sort of 6 games or something like that. And you're going, all of these. Now, don't get me wrong. I know these are the DUI has been out for a while now. So why hit Jordan Anderson's value is above Brian Thomas Jr., I'll never know. But Hollywood Brown's only just come out, and I suppose his value is currently dropping and stuff like that. But yeah, I absolutely love that pick. I think that's a great pick. I'm all aboard Brian Thomas Jr. I think he is a first round wide receiver, and he has a clear pathway. The only thing I'd say that may be a bit of a downfall for him is Trevor Lawrence actually going to start playing some football and start controlling that offense? Because everyone talked Trevor Lawrence's game up so much, and he was going to be the best prospect since Andrew Luck and everything like this. And I don't know why, but we keep making excuses for him every year that, oh yeah, it's because he's had a shit coach, and oh yeah, he's had this, and yeah, he's had that, and let's hope that he can turn it all on this year and actually go, do you know what? I am one of the best. I can feed a team, and you're all going to get some. So I think if Trevor Lawrence turns up, I think Brian Thomas Jr. is a smash, to be honest. But mine's going to shock you to your core. So my wide receiver, another wide receiver that I am targeting absolutely everywhere, and no, it's not Marvin Harrison Jr. So mine is currently, he's going as wide receiver 22, and I wish I had Mags on here now, because I believe Mags is a big fan of him, and that is Michael Pittman Jr. I absolutely love Michael Pittman Jr. I think he is the clear wide receiver one in this team. He is a big guy. He can do everything. He is awesome. I absolutely love him. And Anthony Richardson is going to absolutely smash this year. He's going to learn how to not get smashed to bits every time he tries to run the ball. And when he's there and he starts throwing this ball around, he's going to be throwing it to Michael Pittman Jr. And Anthony Richardson is somebody that everyone is drafting so early in drafts, and they're going, he's going to be the QB1, or he could finish as a QB1. Now, I do get that that's a lot of rushing upside, but he also needs to pass the ball and get the ball to his wide receivers. And that is Michael Pittman Jr. And you're telling me I can get him as wide receiver 22? I'm absolutely smashing that all day, every day. He's going one spot before Devontae Smith, and Devontae Smith has got to beat out AJ Brown, and absolute smash for me. Love Michael Pittman Jr. this year. Love him. And I have him everywhere. Him and Kamara, disgusting. It's disgusting how much value, how much I have of these. If them two go down injured, you will not see me on a podcast again this year, okay? You won't see me.
Yeah. Well, I absolutely love it. I mean, just looking at his finishes, that the last 3 seasons, he's finished as wide receiver 17, 20, and last year was 13. So why has he been drafted as wide receiver 22? I think a lot of people are just scared of Anthony Richardson, but I'm fully embracing it. I think Anthony Richardson, I think he's shown that he's more of an accurate quarterback than we've seen in college. It's just whether he can stay healthy or not. But yeah, I 100% agree.
He had Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew throwing him the ball and still finished as a wide receiver 13 on the season, So I suppose it doesn't matter who's throwing the ball, because he's going to catch it, and you can get him as wide receiver 22.
Yeah.
It's absolute no-brainer for me. I absolutely love Michael Pittman Jr. this year, but we will talk about the other two. Now, nobody's gone for an early wide receiver year. We've got Lewis has gone for wide receiver 39, and that's Deontay Johnson. Again, I absolutely love that pick. I love Deontay Johnson. The only problem is Bryce Young, and that's his only downfall. But again, you've probably got the wide receiver 1 in that team, and you're picking him up as wide receiver 39. It's he's going to see the most targets in that team, and if you can get a player that's going to get you, you're probably looking even in like a shit season, you're probably looking at sort of like 90 to 100 targets that year. If he can catch them, he's going to beat that that sort of wide receiver 39 position straight away. And Hannah's gone for wide receiver 24, which is Malik Neighbors. And again, I love Malik Neighbors. Absolutely love him, but I haven't got much of him because I'm too busy taking Michael Pittman just in front of him. So Ali, which one do you like out of these two?
I mean, I like both of them. I guess that obviously there's a lot more upside with Malik Neighbours, but Daniel Jones has just looked like a bag of crap in the preseason and just is incapable of getting the ball on time to land in front of Neighbours where he can catch it. It always seems to be behind him, off target. That's a big worry, but I just think he's going to get through on volume. But I don't expect him to have a massive breakout season like a Puka Nakua or someone like that. I just think the efficiency is not going to be there. But that ADP, I'm willing to take a shot. And these are guys I'd like to actually team up and get both of these guys on my team. So I like taking rookies and shots on people like Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbours, where you're going to have a lot of down weeks, but you're going to have some spike weeks as well. But if you compare that with Deontay Johnson, who's going to have a baseline of 11, 12 points a week, if he could catch a touchdown and end up with 18 points in a week, where I think that's just perfect because it's giving you the floor and it's giving you the ceiling as well. So yeah, I'm a big fan of both of these picks. To be honest, it'd be difficult to pick, which one I prefer the most.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you with the rookies. I don't necessarily target them that much, especially rookie wide receivers. I think their first year is always a tough year for them. I think we all sort of kind of hope that everyone's going to have that Puka Nakua or that, that sort of Justin Jefferson season. And I know, rookie wide receivers have been getting better over the last sort of few seasons, and they are putting up higher scores and everything like that. I just don't think that's going to be for Malik Neighbours this year. It's probably the same with Marvin Harrison Jr. I haven't got much of him in redraft because of the value that you're having to pay for Marvin Harrison Jr. as a rookie. And I'm just like, no, I think I'd rather have a more established player than that. I'm not quite sure what Marvin Harrison Jr.'s. There you go. He's going as wide receiver 9. Give me Deebo Samuel over Marvin Harrison Jr. in redraft all day, every day.
Clip that.
I'm just talking about this year. Next year, it's going to be smash. I just think realistically, what do we expect out of rookies coming into their first year, and what do we realistically think that they can do? But Deontay Johnson, again, like I said, I think he's quite vanilla, really. It's like, you know what I mean? He's going to get that steady baseline, like you said. He's going to get that workload. He's going to constantly see targets. And I think that the Panthers are going to be down most of the time, so they're just going to keep throwing the ball and trying to score points. But shall we get on to tight ends? Who is your guy for tight ends?
So I've gone for David Njoku. Absolutely love David Njoku.
Kev's wet dream.
Kev's absolute wet dream. I think he's going as tight end 9, I think, of these ADP. So finished as the tight end 6 last year for just an unbelievable second half of the season run where he was either the tight end 2 or tight end 1 over that period. He was absolutely smashing it. Obviously, that was with Joe Flacco, but he's got Deshaun Watson, the masseuse king or whatever people call him, the absolute scruff bag, actively rooting against him. But I just think that it hasn't worked in the past with David Njoku and Deshaun Watson. It hasn't really ignited yet, but I think this is the season where you'll see him being used just over and over in the red zone, moving the chains, moving the sticks. I just think that this is the season where I think in a lot of drafts that I've seen, we've said already that Sam Laporte has been going, far too early. That's fair. He could push on again, but I've not been taking him really anywhere. And then you see it's a bit of a break until you get to the second tight end, and then the second tight end comes out, whether it be Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid, whatever. But you see like a run of 4 or 5 tight ends that get taken all together because people don't want to miss them elite 6. But if I sort of miss that little train of tight ends, I've been really happy just to wait and take David Njoku as a guy that I think can absolutely break into that top 6 again this year. I think that he's set up to succeed. I'm not really afraid of any of the weapons there. Obviously, Amari Cooper, I like Amari Cooper and his value that he brings. But David Njoku is massive in that offense. So, he's my Titan pick. At Titan 9, I think he'll easily finish above that. And I think he's got the ability to finish in the top 6, top 5, if he can just find that spark with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I was just having a look now. So currently, Travis Kelce and Sam Laporta are going back to back 28, 29 overall, and David Njoku's going 89th.
Wow.
So he's nearly 6 rounds later. So 5 rounds later. So I absolutely love this pick. I think it's a great pick. I think it's great value. And again, I think we've mentioned this so many times on the Rewind show. Sam Laporta so early, it's taken away that wide receiver option or that running back option. Now I understand when Travis Kelce was at his peak. I'm not going to say he's lost it, but 3-4 years ago, he was somebody that was putting up the points that you go, if he was a wide receiver, he'd finish as wide receiver 5, and we can go, do you know what? I can understand you paying that price because you're getting that in the tight end position. Sam Laporta, you're not getting that. So I think I love this pick because you're not going for that. You're taking that wide receiver where that Sam Laporta sort of pick is. Then a few rounds later, you're still building that wide receiver core or that wide receiver running back and quarterback room. And then all of a sudden you're going, I can take David Njoku. Yeah, let's go. And I feel like you've made this pick because Kev has said it so many times that you've gone, that's a great pick. That's a great pick. I think Kev's brushing up on you here,
He's
mate.
drilled it into
like
me,
nice with Dwayne McBride with me, and how much he told me Dwayne McBride was going to hit, and I smashed him everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Every draft I was in, smashed. Then he gets released. So, but no, I do really love this pick. To be fair, I jest about the Kev's brushing up on you, but it is genuinely a really, really good pick. So you have got the latest tight end out of all of us. So all of ours are within the top 10. So I just look now, and I don't know if it's just changed now, but David Njoku was going as the tight end 10. I've gone for the guy that is one spot ahead of him, and that is Jake Ferguson. Now, I really like this pick because I like it because it was George that was the Seahawk, George Merritt. He came on this and he was telling us about wide receivers, and he was telling us that who's going to catch the ball in Dallas. And when you actually look at it, there is not many options there of players that can actually catch the ball. Now, don't get me wrong, you've got this really, really good wide receiver called CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, it's kind of murky. And I just think, do you know what? Jake Ferguson could actually be the second choice receiver in this team. Now, give me the second choice receiver on the Dallas Cowboys, okay? Because he's going to see volume. And again, I suppose I don't want to keep talking about it, but I suppose this pick is more, my tight end pick is more of somebody I'm taking a lot of because the value of tight ends this year just seems absolutely ridiculous. So I have so much of Jake Ferguson. It is amazing. I love it. And I want all parts of that Dallas team because they are a high-powered offense as well. Absolutely smashing.
Yeah. It's a great pick. And as you mentioned, it's going to be a high-powered offense. CeeDee Lamb has signed his deal, so he's happy now. He's going to be just massive this year. But you look beyond it, and it's Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is another year older. We saw him sort of decline or start to decline last year. So I think Jake Ferguson is in a position to absolutely smash. And he's going in that same range as David Njoku. So you're taking him so late, whereas you're scooping up all the value before, and you're still getting a guy that can score, double-digit touchdowns this year. So yes, great value. Yeah,
absolutely love it. The other two, now Lewis has taken what would have been my pick, but I let him make his decision first. Lewis has gone for Kyle Pitts at tight end 7. And Hannah has gone for Mark Andrews at tight end 4. Now, what I love about both of these picks are I can see, and I can't see it for Jake Ferguson, and I don't think he would, but I can genuinely see an outcome where either one of these could finish as the tight end 1 on the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all over it. Absolutely all over it. Now, if you would have listened to the Wildcard Dynasty podcast, what was it, a week or so ago or 2 weeks ago, when we did our flag plant and you had all of our flag plants, you would have heard that I planted my flag in Kyle Pitts. He is my guy, and Lewis has stolen him from me because I let him do the show sheet first. But yes, so Kyle Pitts, I am all in on this year. I think he is a great tight end with a bad situation. He is now a great tight end with a good situation. And I think he's had an upgrade in Kirk Cousins, and we've seen Kirk Cousins, what he can do, and he can feed the ball to players, and he knows that he's going to target his best receiver, and his best receiver is Kyle Pitts. And I think Kyle Pitts finishes this season as the tight end 1. Heard it here first. Tight end 1, Kyle Pitts.
Wow, what an upgrade from an average tight end to the tight end 1 in
I know,
fantasy.
right? All he needed was Captain Kirk.
No, it's a great pick just because you look at over the past few seasons, Captain Kirk Cousins has been the second most accurate quarterback in getting it to his receivers on time. So Kyle Pitts he's not really a tight end; he's a wide receiver. He's going to be the second target there, perhaps behind Drake London. And I just think, we're going to see another 1,000-yard season from him. I'm absolutely convinced. So I think he has got the ability to finish, maybe not tight end 1, but top 3.
Take it
top
back.
3. I can't. He's a Falcon. I can't stand the Falcon.
Okay. So you're saying top 3. Who are the other 2 that finished 1 and 2?
Well, I'll say Sam Laporta, but I wouldn't be touching him at that price. And then
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't come on my show and say Dalton Kincaid, okay?
No,
I won't have it.
No, I'll go Travis Kelce.
Yeah, it's again, like I said, sort of Sam Laporta, Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, Travis Kelce. I can see an outcome where any one of them could finish as a tight end 1. You know, and the problem is, I think you're paying tight end 1 prices for Travis Kelce or Sam Laporta. Kyle Pitts and Mark Andrews, you're not paying that price, and you're paying it. You're getting a cheaper value. Absolutely love what these guys have done here. But Ali, I did ask you for a later round pick. Somebody, we all know who the early round picks are that we all love and all target and stuff. But I wanted somebody who is a bit of a shot in the dark. If he hits, he hits. If he doesn't, he doesn't. It's late round flyer, bit of a sleeper. Who have you got for us?
Well, you've really bigged up someone that is going to be an exotic pick, but it's going to sound pretty boring because it's just going to be an effective pick. I think he's down the exact same lines as Jerome Ford, and it's Chuba Hubbard, just because I think at running back 43, he's going behind J.K. Dobbins, Trey Benson, Blake Corum. I think he's going to be the RB1 for at least the first 4 games of the season, and perhaps even longer than that. And we've seen him in this Carolina offense that, it can hardly take a step back from last year. So it's going to have to take, even if it's a small step forward, I think little by little, he's gonna churn in the points at least to start the season. And I think you're gonna be happy with someone that you can start early on, a bit like a Jerome Ford, but even later, and someone that is pretty disgusting. But I think the value's there where I've been taking him in lots of places and happy at what he's going to produce early on. And I think even when Brooks is back, he's going to have a role as a complement. We've seen him in this offense be absolutely fine for fantasy and someone that you can fill in. So perhaps a little bit of a boring pick, but I don't mind a bit of Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, mate, it's all about the first 4 weeks, first 4 to 6 weeks. If you can do something that puts you in a position where you've won your first 4 weeks, you're already off to a good start. So why not take that shot with him? I tell you what. So I'll start with mine. So I had to get another Cardinal in here, but it is somebody that is going to see targets. He is somebody that's going to see work. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my God, this guy is going to be unreal, go draft him now everywhere. But I've gone for wide receiver 66, and that's Michael Wilson. I think if I can get Kyler Murray in sort of the first few rounds, if I'm playing best ball, then I will go and I will pick up Michael Wilson sort of later on in the draft. I think he's somebody that you can stack quite nicely with Kyler Murray. He's somebody that not many people are thinking about, and he could be the second choice, he's not going to be the second choice receiver because that'll be Trey McBride, but he is going to be the third choice receiver in that team. He is going to be wide receiver 2 as such, and I think he sees volume. I think he sees work, and I think there may be weeks in best ball that he may get that spike week where all of a sudden he's had 2 receptions, 30 yards, and a touchdown. And he's somebody that could sneak into a flex spot. So if I compare him with Kyler Murray and in sort of a best ball draft, then I definitely will. Now, if I'm having to manage my lineup, he's probably not somebody that I target as much because sort of predicting when that spike week is going to happen, but he is probably somebody that I would take a shot on just in case, just in case.
You're a smart man. I really hope that Kev is listening to the show right now, because he absolutely hates Michael Wilson. He thinks he is trash, but I'm telling you, he is a stud. You hear me, Kev? He's a stud. The wide receiver 6 in week 4 at San Francisco with those 2 touchdowns. I tell you what, he's going to be relevant this year. He don't want to believe it. People don't want to believe it, but
so
I'm all aboard.
He thinks Michael Wilson's trash, but he thinks Terrace Marshall's going to be elite. Terrace Marshall's just been cut by his team. Michael Wilson's still there in the same room as Marvin Harrison Jr.
Who's got the last laugh, or who's had the last laugh?
Best wide receiver core in the NFL. If you take out 18 others,
Yeah.
But yeah, just so I will get I would have loved Lewis and Hannah to be here to sort of chat me through their picks. So Hannah's gone for the running back 61, and that is Tank Bigsby.
Yeah,
I would love to have heard her reasoning behind this. I can see it's a great pick if Etienne gets injured, but I don't really see it being anything other than that. I think I did hope Tank Bigsby would have been something last year, hope that he would have seen a role, but he really didn't, and he didn't really hit as such. Maybe this year will be a bit different. Maybe he will start to see a role. He'll start to share that load with Etienne, but Etienne finished as the running back 3 last year, or was it 2?
Yeah, 3.
It's hard to see how they're going to reduce his workload. So I would have loved Hannah to have been on to give her opinion on that. And Lewis has gone for, my phone's just locked. Sorry. He's gone for wide receiver 74, and that is Jermaine Burton, who
Hannah's
is
wildcard pick.
The Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I love this pick for Dynasty. And I think Hannah was on our show a couple of weeks ago talking about how for Dynasty, I think it's a great pick. T. Higgins probably moving on next year and stuff like this. But then she spoke about how he was in sort of preseason games and how he was only getting reps with the third team and stuff like that, and he wasn't getting any work with the first and stuff like this, and she was a bit worried about what sort of role he was going to play this year. And I suppose it's one of them, if like what you were saying, if Jamar Chase doesn't play and he's still being a bit, oh yeah, I'm not playing, you're not going to give me a contract. So, sorry, I just seen a notification that Terrace Marshall Jr. signed with the 49ers.
Oh no. Oh no. That's spoiled my night.
That's funny. But yeah, so maybe it is one of them picks that he's sort of predicting that Jamar Chase sort of holds out. I know there's sort of a thing with NFL players and holding out and not playing games now. They can be fined and stuff like that. So I don't expect him to hold out too many games. But, you know, I would have loved Lewis's opinion on this one because, you know, I would have loved to have known what his thought process was with Jermaine Burton. What do you make? Do you like any of these picks, or are you going to slate them both like I did?
Yeah, absolutely terrible. What the hell were they thinking?
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you guys next week.
I guess the Bigsby thing, and I've spoken about ETN as someone that the head coach Doug Peterson said halfway through the season that he wanted to lessen the load on Travis Etienne. So his opportunities went down from 22 touches per game to 16 the second half of the season. He used to run back 22 over the second half of the season, or something like that, where it didn't feel like the RB3 overall. So he said in this offseason again, he's going to do the same thing. And, you know, we trusted him the first time. So if you're talking his ETN's going to be 16, 18 touches per game, that still leaves a little bit of room for perhaps 8 to 10 touches for somebody else. You just never know. Perhaps Tank Bigsby can take a step forward, not fumble. Like I think that's his issue that's been. So who knows? It could be a high-powered offense, and like I say, an injury or less opportunities for ETN. Then Tank Bigsby could have a role. And then Jermaine Burton, I wanted him to be my wild card pick. I think more for dynasty, like you said, Paul. But yeah, I mean, who knows what happens with Jamar Chase? As of this recording, he's not signed a new deal. It doesn't look like it's close. There's no rumors about it. I think he wants to be perhaps the highest paid, wide receiver in the NFL. And perhaps they don't get it done right now, so he could potentially miss a few games. And even if not, I just think I've said that I think Jermaine Burton second half of the season, perhaps not early on, so not like a pick like mine, but perhaps for the second half of the season, for the playoff run, perhaps he's going to be that wide receiver 3 that they can't keep off the field. We know that Tyler Boyd has been their wide receiver 3 for a few years now, and he's been productive in spells. So there is a role there. There is enough volume for a third wide receiver. So I think why not Jermaine Burton, because he's extremely talented rookie, and I can't wait to see him, show us something this year, and then potentially be that wide receiver 2 for them next year, where he could really shine. Yeah.
I like both of the picks, to be fair. I do like both of the picks, and I think they are what we are talking late round flyers here and people that they're targeting, and they've they are people that have sort of a pathway to maybe some sort of workload. Like you said with Chuba Hubbard, he is going to get the workload for the first 4 weeks and not much after that, where you could be looking at these in a different sense and going, do you know what, maybe towards the end of the season they do have some sort of workload. But yeah, with that brings us to the end. Ali, please tell everyone where they can find you, what you got going on. Changing your internet, and
I am. So hopefully I'll be appearing more often. I mean, you can find me at FF Dynasty Grill. I'm fairly active on the old Twitter space, X, whatever you want to call it. Obviously part of the Wildcard team, the Dynasty show that came out this week. We talked about preseason risers and fallers. So there was a couple of names you mentioned tonight that will be in there. And yeah, check us out there. And King Fantasy Sports have got some articles that I finally got around to that have been out, and there's some more to come. So check us out there.
Awesome. We'll be checking all of them out. Can't wait to listen to the Dynasty show this week, because you give Mag some shit, which is always my favorite thing ever. But with that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow us on X, Twitter, wherever it is, at Wildcard Rewind, or head on over to our YouTube channel, search for the Fantasy Wildcard, and make sure you give us a subscribe. And we will see you all next week.
Take me back to the sun.